Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So friends, in this video we will have our discussion on this upcoming transition in the nakshatra of the planet Saturn being in the Pisces zodiac sign. So friends, I'm talking about this upcoming transit of Saturn in the Revati Nakshatra, which will happen on May 17th. So I'm sure friends, all of those who actually are very much deeply invested in Vedic astrology, they must be knowing the importance and significance of the nakshatras because it somehow drives the intent and the motivation of the functioning of the energy of a planet. The way this whole 2026 have started with so many unpredictable, unforeseen events, so many war front like naval problems which somehow could be connected with the deep water with the Pisces sign. Saturn is known to be causing obstruction. So I mean to say, with this nakshatra level transition, are we seeing clarity, or are we seeing more of these kind of obstacles in the next coming months? So all of that friends, which we will try to understand in this video. So we will first cover the generalized impact of this transit, and then from there we will narrow it down, we will taper it down to the customized guidance based on your moon nakshatra. So okay friends, before we will start our discussion, we will first pray to Lord Ganesha, who is the Hindu god of auspiciousness, good omens, and who presides over all the knowledge of mystic sciences known to humankind. So Om Ekdantai Vidmahe Vakratundaय Dhimahi Tanno Danti Prachodayat. We will also pray to the Shani Devata. So Om Bhag Bhavai Vidmahe Mrityu Rupai Dhimahi Tanno Shani Prachodayat. So, okay, friends, let's start our discussion first with like the very first slide, which is about like knowing a little bit about the Revati Nakshatra. So, friends, if I were to give a summary of Saturn's stay in the Pisces, it has more to do with the completion. And Revati is going to be that final door. When Saturn will enter over here, you will get to know that which all areas, which all theme is getting that final closure. So Revati is the final nakshatra, nakshatra number 27th. It represents completion, closure, and safe passage, and somehow karmic exit point as well, because this is the Gandamul nakshatra. We cannot overlook that. So, friends, now let's try to understand its impact on all the different levels. Like, for example, starting first with the mundane, the global interpretation of it. So, the way I mentioned, it represents the endings before the reset. So, friends, I have actually narrowed it down to the five planes on which we can experience the result which will be experienced in the world when Saturn within the Pisces will make its move to the Revati Nakshatra. So, because we know this thing that Saturn in Revati tends to like it closes the long standing cycles, it exposes the hidden decay, and it prepares the ground for the new order when Saturn will move to the Aries later on, right? So the very first, like the likely global theme, the very first is going to be the maritime oceanic focus. So we know that what has been the prevailing theme in the overall month of the March regarding this obstacle which the world has witnessed around the Strait of Hormuz, right? So Revati is ruled by Pushan, the protector of the travelers, journeys, cattles, and the routes. So, what we can expect? We can expect when Saturn will move in the Revati Nakshatra, that shipping route will still be a major issue. There is going to be the naval tension, and some sort of maritime conflict possibility is also going to be very high, and there is going to be underwater resources, cables, and trade disruption, which we have to be prepared. Now, friends, when we talk about the financial closure, so Pisces, which represents the international, the global finance, illusion, and liquidity. So Saturn over here, like specifically being in the Revati Nakshatra, so it tightens the liquidity. There is going to be the collapse of the weak system, and it can also expose like there is going to be the exposure of the frauds and hidden financial manipulation as well. Now, friends, when we talk about the mental health and the escapism crisis, so Pisces rules like sleep, dreams, illusion, addiction, and narrowing it down to the Revati and Saturn's entry over here, we'll talk more about reality check to the escapism. There might be rise in the mental health awareness, and there is going to be addiction related issues which could get exposed as well. See, friends, because now what is going to be happening on June 1st, once Jupiter will enter in the Cancer sign, it is going to attain exaltation. So Jupiter is going to be giving its aspect to the Pisces where Saturn is going to be transiting. So somehow it is going to be like that, nurturing and empathy is definitely going to be there. Now, when we talk about the mass migration and the border themes, so we know this thing that Revati represents the journey, migration, and Saturn over here just talks about restriction on the migration, and there is going to be refugee crisis or some stricter policies over there as well. We all are witnessing that, right? Because of the rise of the right wing nationalist kind of politicians and the policies. It is happening in UK. It is happening right now in US. The Japanese new senior minister, she's also giving the hint of the same. So yes, we can expect the same. And lastly, friends, when we talk about the silent conflicts, right? So not always it open the war, but there's definitely going to be hidden operations and some sort of cyber naval intelligence activities as well. So friends, from the mundane point of view, the world starts closing unfinished karmic accounts before a new aggressive cycle. Now, when we talk about, for example, it's a general individual interpretation, like what individually we as people will experience. So, friends, like I have actually, the core theme of this is going to be of completion for everyone, detachment, and karmic clearing, right? And what people may experience, there is going to be endings. In case of many people, there's going to be jobs ending, relationship getting dissolved, or old identities fading. So this is not random. This is just kind of a karmic closure. There's going to be emotional isolation as well, where we will experience a feeling of like feeling detached or detachment, or feeling yourself misunderstood, or feeling very deeply inward. So Saturn and the energy of the Pisces, that too Revati, has got more to do with the internalization. There's going to be a very strong spiritual pull as well, friends. Like there is going to be increase in meditation, solitude, and finding that deeper meaning of the life. There is going to be travel and the relocation karma as well, like long distance travel, leaving the old places. And there is going to be a reality versus illusion break, seeing the truth in the relationship, in your career, and in the personal belief. So what used to be the illusion will dissolve during this time. And yes, friends, everything comes with a challenge as well, right? So this might be slightly confusing for the less evolved people, or there is going to be letting go resistance, emotional heaviness. So all what I can say, friends, try to look at the glass half full. Opportunity is going to be in massive karmic cleansing before any sort of new beginnings. Now, friends, after this, now you know this thing that we have to get into the personalized and the customized guidance. So, more than giving attention to all the zodiac signs, I just thought that much better and you will get much of the clarity if we will focus more on the Navtara concept. Now, Navtara concept is very simple, friends. It gets calculated based on your birth star, your Janam Nakshatra. So, that is what you have to follow. So, we know this thing that, for example, if you're a Janam Tara, you are born in the Purvhadrapada Nakshatra. That means Purvhadrapada is ruled by the planet Jupiter. So that means any of the transit of the planets in other nakshatras as well, being ruled by the Jupiter, will actually act like the Janam Tara transit for you. And based on the nature of the planet, you have to correlate it. You will get to know very soon. Once I will start going step by step, covering all the nakshatras. So, friends, the very first is, let's say, for example, if this is happening over your Janam Tara, like for example, Saturn is going to be transiting in the Revati Nakshatra. Revati is being ruled by the planet Mercury. So, other Mercury ruled nakshatras are Ashlesha and the Jyeshtha. So, that means for all these three birth moon nakshatra, there's going to be slight emotional heaviness, slight mental pressure over here as well, because Saturn over here is going to increase the introspection, and stress could also slightly increase. Again, friends, when we talk about Saturn, so Saturn has not much to do with like tormenting us. It has more to do with making us more responsible and completing those things which have already outlived, they have kind of outlived their significance in our life. So yes, the birth moon nakshatra, Revati, Ashlesha, Jyeshtha, it is going to be slight emotional heaviness time for them. Now, friends, when we talk about those who have like this transit happening in their Sampat Tara, so that means if your birth moon nakshatra is of Uttar Bhadrapada, Pushya, or Anuradha, so it is going to be somehow impacting, influencing, like from your Janam Tara, it is happening. Saturn is now transiting in your Sampat Tara. So that in itself tells about that. First of all, Saturn leaving your Moon Nakshatra is going to be a very big relief. There's going to be gains after the effort. There's going to be financial stabilization as well. And there's going to be slow but solid growth for these Saturn ruled nakshatra for sure. And let's say, for example, if at the same time you're running a disha which is making you like, very much eligible for big gains, big opportunities, and at the same time Saturn is active in the disha, so it will promise that. Now, friends, the next is the Vipat Tara. So, let's say, for example, if your birth moon nakshatra is of any of the Jupiter ruled, for example, your birth moon star is Purvhadrapada, is of Punarvasu, is Vishakha. So, that tells more about like it will have that Vipat Tara kind of signification. Saturn going over there, right? So that means there might be some sort of obstacles which you might have to deal with, some sort of confusion regarding your decision making, some sort of resistance in letting go of things. So generally, we say that if Saturn is not a good planet for you, you are running some like vulnerable dasha. This could be a case that Saturn in itself is active in the dasha, right? And with Saturn, you are in the combination of Antardasha of a planet which is not very well placed. So then this could drive towards more obstacle, confusion, and the plans will not work or go very smoothly in this time. It will require, it will demand patience. Now, friends, the next is the Shema Tara. So, which has more to do with the protection, stability, um, can be expected. And generally, Saturn over here gives the safe growth. So, that could be the case for all the Rahu ruled nakshatras. So, whether your birth moon nakshatra is Sadbisha, is Ardra, or is Swati, that in itself means that now Saturn is going to be transiting in the Shema Tara for you, in the Revati Tara. So, again, friends, this is definitely going to be the time when stability will come. If let's say, for example, you are in a dasha which is indicating it has generated a theme which has to do with buying your first house, or like passing a exam for a federal government job, or getting a visa, PR, green card of a foreign land. So all of that can get materialized. That means in all of your endeavors there is going to be the energy of the protection, and there is going to be stability. Now, friends, let's say, for example, if your birth moon is placed in any of the Mars ruled nakshatra, which is Dhanishta, which is Mirikshira, or which is Chitra. So then this tells about that now Saturn is going to be transiting in the Revati nakshatra, which happened to be your Pratyak Tara, which has to do with the delays, which has to do with the frustration. And generally, it has been expected that things move slowly. So again, friends, you have to blend it. You have to connect the dots with your ongoing prevailing dasha right now. If Saturn is active in the dasha, what kind of theme your ongoing dasha and the transiting planets are creating. That will give you a elaborative picture. That will give you a clarity. But yes, if you are primarily being ruled by the Saturn right now, and Saturn being now transiting in your Pratyak Tara, you have to be careful. Now, friends, let's say for example, if like your birth moon star is any of the moon ruled nakshatra, your birth moon is in the Shravan nakshatra, your birth moon is in the Rohini nakshatra, or even if your birth moon is in the Hasta nakshatra. So that means now Saturn is going to be transiting in the Sadhana Tara for you, which is generally considered as very good. So this will tell about that there could be achievement through discipline, and the hard work will pay off during this time. We generally say that Saturn generally perform very good over here. So let's say for example, because we know that with Shravan, it has a lot to do with the career endeavors, with Rohini, it has to do with the vehicles, with the travels, with Hasta, it has to do with the skills, right? So this could be a case that for the Shravan people, if they are running some supportive dasha, there might be some major achievement, accomplishment which they will experience in their career. For the Rohini, like investing in a new business or many international travels during this time. For the Hasta people, getting awarded for their skills, for their talent can be expected. Now, friends, let's say for example, if your moon nakshatra is of the sun, like you're born with your moon being in the Uttarashadha nakshatra, your moon being in the Kritika nakshatra, or your moon being in the Uttara Falguni nakshatra. So that means Saturn is now going to be transiting in the Revati nakshatra, which happened to be your Naidhana Tara, which is considered as very intense. And we know that Saturn being in the Pisces, being in the last nakshatra in itself is creating a theme of completion, of closure, of endings. So this just tells about that in one specific area of the life, you might have the culmination, you might have the closure, and it is actually going to be the time of the deep karmic clearing as well. So yes, friends, that's all what I can say for the sun ruled nakshatra. And lastly, friends, when we talk about those who have their like moon being in any of the Venus ruled nakshatra. That means your moon is in the Purvashadha nakshatra, your moon is in the Bharni nakshatra, or even in the Purva Falguni nakshatra. So that means Saturn is now going to be transiting in the Revati, but in a Mitra, in a friendly Tara for you, which will talk about support which you will get from others. And there's going to be some stable progress which you will experience in your life in this phase. Now, friends, let's say, for example, if your birth moon star is of Ketu, like you are born with your moon being in the Mula Nakshatra, in the Ashwini Nakshatra, in the Magha Nakshatra. So that means now Saturn is going to be transiting in your Param Mitra Tara, which has to do with success, which has to do with the strong support, and which has to do with the recognition. Now, friends, after this, let's move forward to the next section. So I am sure that, see, in most of my videos, I have talked about this concept. So you would have understood this thing, that the logic which we have used in order to understand this, which was that Saturn in Revati is closing karma for everyone, but those for whom from your moon nakshatra, if Saturn is transiting in the Vipat Tara, Naidhana Tara, there might be some closure will happen for everyone. Closure will happen for everyone. It just like that, the medium and the process will vary. So for those who have calculating from your birth moon nakshatra, if Saturn is transiting in the Vipat Tara, Nidhana Tara, these people might have painful closure. For those who have now Saturn from their birth moon star, from the moon nakshatra, Saturn transiting in the Sadhan Tara, Mitra Tara, they will have productive closure. And those who have from their birth moon star, Saturn transiting in the Param Mitra Tara, they will have some sort of rewarding closure. So now, friends, after this, see, I could have made this video or explained this from the ascendant as well, from the moon sign as well. But I thought if we will take up the Navtara concept, we will get much more of the clarity, because I always say if you are like trying to generalize any of the transit results, just giving attention to the zodiac sign, you get to know the picture on a surface level. But once you dive deeper to the nakshatra level, you get to know the intent, why it is happening, Why me? Why suddenly my life is going through these specific transformation? Why my partner, my business partner, my bosses are now working with this specific intent? That you get to know once you start including nakshatras as well. So, okay, friends, now let's look at the global theme as well, with which I started this discussion, right? So, I mentioned this thing that Saturn in the Revati in this period in 2026, from May 17th till October 9th, Saturn in the Revati has to do with the end of the cycles, border karma, oceanic issue, migration, and the hidden system, right? So, this is like kind of a probabilistic kind of astrology, right? I mean to say, you have to understand now because I will be showing you the country's chart as well. So, I'm sure that most of the astrology community they take America's chart, USA's chart as Leo, but I was lately watching one of the very good astrologer, and that astrologer was explaining the USA chart with like Scorpio Lagna. Someone was explaining with the Dhanu Lagna. So I mean to say, if you are sure in your assessment, you have done a lot of work and research on mundane astrology. So specific to those countries, the national charts, you need that in order to monitor or map it. The founding moon nakshatra for many regions and the current geopolitical alignment, because we know that, okay, for example, I'm recording this video on April 2nd. So I know that right now US Iran war is getting very intensified. So at a time while making any observation, you have to also take into consideration the current geopolitical alignment as well. So, okay, friends, on this note, let's try to look at the same Navtara concept and apply that to different countries as well. So, when we talk about the typical Vipat Tara kind of impact, like where we talk about Saturn might be creating more obstacle or instability. So, this could come very or slightly hard in the case of the China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and certain parts of the Southeast Asia as well. I mean to say, when we talk about the China, so we know that China built this massive economy, relying on the manufacturing and the trade on the export, right? And if most of the world's trade happens through sea route, which is getting disrupted right now. So that means there might be slight trade disruption, internal economic adjustment. Many astrologers have been predicting that China might go for the Taiwan in 2027, which is completely getting aligned with their political opinion, many think tanks, and I'm relying more on astrology because that is going to be the time when Saturn will transit in the Aries, which will happen to be in their fourth house. So yes, high possibility of that. So yes, in case of the China, this transit of Saturn in the Revati could bring slight possibility of the trade disruption, internal economic adjustment, and tech communication restrictions. Now, when we talk about from the Pakistan and the Bangladesh perspective, there might be some economic stress, flood, water-related concern, typical Pisces link, and some sort of governance pressure as well. And there is going to be certain parts of Southeast Asia where there might be climate or trade instability as well. So, see, friends, in a way that when we talk about from the mundane perspective, here we are looking at that plans might not get executed smoothly, and there might be some sort of constant obstacle as well. Now, friends, when we talk about the countries which are going to be getting impacted with that Naidhana Tara kind of vibration, right? So, in that, I will put definitely USA, Russia, and Middle East, especially the conflict zone. See, when we talk about USA, so we know this thing that under the leadership of Trump, the whole country is going through major kind of revamp and transformation in their policies and all, with their alliances and their allied partners as well. So when we look at USA, we are looking at power restructuring, we are looking at leadership conflict, and we are looking at the financial system stress as well. When we talk about Russia, in the case of the Russia, we are also looking at deep transformation and war related karmic turning points as well. Like This could happen, like, after being there in Ukraine for a while, there might be some sudden revelations, sudden news which will come. So slight possibility of that. And yes, friends, when we talk about the Middle East, especially the conflict zones, endings of ongoing conflict, or this could be escalation, will peak before the closure. See, I have high kind of intuition that before Saturn will move to the Aries, it will resolve. And we know that, see, the psychology of the Trump administration, Trump is not going to be putting US into long wars like the way which the previous presidents have done in the case of Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea, and other wars. So I'm sure that while observing his interviews and listening to different journalists and experts, that his attention will soon shift to Cuba or some other country as well. So yes, friends, that's what all I can say, that the general theme is going to be for those countries for whom it is going to be that kind of theme, something like Nadhana Tara. There's going to be old power structure will break or transform. Now, friends, when we talk about the Pratik Tara countries, where the theme is going to be delay of frustration zone. This could happen in the case of the likely regions are going to be the European Union, which will experience the policy delays, economic stagnation, and immigration policy struggle. There have been a lot of things going on, that whether NATO will stay or not, or how things will work, will happen. So yes, with Saturn, which is chiefly responsible for this new world order, so the regions which are getting negatively affected because of the delay, frustration happening, so European Union could be hit like that. And again, friends, when we talk about Japan as well, so expect slow growth and structural delays when you have very nationalist kind of current, this Sana Takachi, if I'm taking her name right, who again is not very pro immigration friendly, and who is now in the case of the Taiwan issue, who also raised a strong deterrence and warning to China. So that means if you will start building up the military arsenal, it is going to take a hit somewhere else, which could be the growth, which could be the economy as well. So yes, that is what my selection of countries or region for the Pratyak Tara. So efforts needs to be made, but results might get delayed. And friends, when we talk about that sort of Janam Tara kind of impact and the energies where there's going to be emotional or internal pressure. So in that, friends, I will definitely keep India. There's going to be a lot of the internal restructuring which will happen. Emotional national identity debates will keep on happening, and the policy shift, high possibility of that. When we talk about UK, so yes, there's going to be that identity and the governance introspection. So in a way, there's going to be internal pressure, but not that sort of collapse. I'm not looking at that. Now, friends, when we talk about the Shema Tara kind of vibration, the protected zone, now this will come as a surprise to you that I put UAE and Gulf countries over here. So stability will come despite the global chaos, and they will have that strategic advantage. See, friends, if you would have read this thing, um, again, I'm recording this video on April 2nd. So Spain might have taken a stance, France might have taken a stance which did not go along very well with Trump administration, I mean to say. They were not very openly in favor of joining USA against this war on Iran. But somehow UAE and other Gulf countries, so I mean to say, Trump has reciprocated in equal intensity to other NATO allied countries. But when it comes down to Trump's support and his personal rapport with the Gulf countries, he has again came out with complete solidarity and support towards them. So based on my calculation, friends, it looks like to be that UAE and Gulf countries seems to be somehow despite all this chaos, they will attain stability. They are still coming in the protected zone only. So, and lastly, friends, lastly, I mean to say, when we talk about the Sadhana Tara, the achievement zone, so Canada and Australia are going to be falling in this theme. In this current sailing of the wind, they are going to be more falling in line of the achievement zone. So I mean to say, Canada will keep on growing through discipline under this Mark Carney's leadership, and they will have that strong positioning globally. High possibility of that. In that recent summit, the statement or the speech which went viral amidst all that Greenland issue was of Mark Carney only. That it's a new world order we are living in. I mean to say, yes, Canada will emerge and come out very responsible through their restraint and through their discipline. When we talk about Australia as well, so yes, they will have that resource based gains as well. So the theme for them, these two countries, friends, which I have selected is has more to do with the hard work paying off, and there is going to be strategic rise as well. Now, friends, when we talk about the Mitra Tara, the support zone, so somehow, friends, I feel that Germany and South Korea will fall in this category because Germany will drive more towards stabilization, industrial resilience, and South Korea, with their tech and the alliances support, is going to be somehow they will be well supported by their allied countries. So their alliances and all will play a very significant role. So and now friends, when we talk about the Paramitra Tara kind of vibe, right? The best zone. So over there, friends, I would better keep Singapore and the Nordic countries in this zone when Saturn is going to be grilling and operating in the Revati Nakshatra within the Pisces. So Singapore will emerge like financially strong. They will have that strategic advantage, and Nordic countries as well will experience stability, and the smart, like stability will happen, will come because of their smart governance. So they will have the maximum benefit from the Saturnian discipline. So, friends, you would have understood, right? When we talk about that, again, this is not even absolute. It's like because countries don't have any one single nakshatra. Because before putting countries like this in this category, I did my research on the geopolitical significance, the current leadership, their cartography placement, and based on that, I came up with this. And yes, because yeah, I have given attention to Jupiter, Rahu Ketu's transit, which will happen around the end of the year. They will shift signs, the eclipses, vibration, everything. So we have discussed so far that yes, the most challenged could be the USA, Russia, China, Pakistan, that Vipat Tara energy. The mixed is going to be with India and UK, and in the strong position is going to be the Canada, Australia, Singapore, and all. So yes, friends, this was the video. I again look forward to that. If you actually want me to make a video customized to all the zodiac signs as well, from the ascendant perspective as well. So do share that in the comment section. I will see what I can do. Or shall I come up with another explanation video of Saturn's transit in the Revati and its impact on all the zodiac signs or all the ascendant. So once again, friends, thanks a lot for watching this video, and for further more updates and notification on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyavad.